Welcome back, viewers, to the latest researches and news. Currently, we have two major updates. Firstly, about the Sudanese army shut down another drone. Second, a complete battlefield update from Tigray and Amhara. Let's start with what just came in today, August 24th, since this is the freshest development. Sudanese media, along with several other Sudanese sources, are now reporting that Sudanese forces shut down a second drone, again in the Komuk area of Blue Nile State. This would mark the second consecutive day this kind of incident has reportedly occurred in the exact same general location. Let's slow down on this one, because there's more worth unpacking here than just the headline. The location itself is significant. Komuk isn't some random point on the map. It's the same border town we've been covering closely in recent updates, given its position right on the Ethiopia-Sudan frontier and its importance as a corridor into Blue Nile State. So a drone incident happening here for a second straight day isn't just a repeat of yesterday's story in a different place. It's the same specific location generating fresh activity again, which is exactly the kind of repetition that makes analysts pay closer attention rather than treating each report as unrelated. It's also worth thinking about what a climb like this actually consists of at this stage. Right now, this is being carried by Sudanese media outlets and multiple Sudanese sources, which is a real reportable climb, and different from a single anonymous social media post. But it is still short of a formal, named statement from Sudan's defense ministry, which is the specific benchmark that gave yesterday's incident its higher level of confirmation. That gap matters, and we'll come back to exactly why in a moment. For now, what we can say clearly is this. Multiple Sudanese sources are reporting a second shoot down in Komuk today, the details of which, including any specifics on the drone type or exact circumstances, are still emerging. And we're watching for either an official government statement or further independent corroboration before treating this with the same weight as yesterday's confirmed event, two reported drone incidents in 2 consecutive days, both centered on the same stretch of border near Komuk, points toward a pattern of repeated activity in this specific corridor, rather than a single isolated event. This also connects to something we discussed in a previous update, the broader picture of drone activity, reportedly linked to operations out of Bahida and Asosa. Whether or not today's specific climb gets fully confirmed, the fact that this general area keeps generating these kinds of reports is itself a meaningful signal that this border corridor has become an active flashpoint. In both cases, yesterday's confirmed incident and today's developing climb, Sudan is asserting that the drones originated from Ethiopia territory. If this pattern continues or gets fully verified, it has real potential to raise tension, specifically between Ethiopia and Sudan, separate from Ethiopia's internal conflicts. Now let's move to a complete status check on the ground situation, starting with Tigray. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, no major new ground clash has been confirmed on this specific front. That doesn't mean things are calm, though tension remains genuinely high. The Tigray People's Liberation Front, along with regional authorities, have been calling on the international community for diplomatic intervention, specifically citing drone strikes and continued military pressure as their central complaint. The earlier drone strikes on Mekelle and other areas remain the core of what they are raising internationally. Forces remain deployed on both sides of this front, but there hasn't been a major escalation in the past few days specifically. Here's how to read this properly. This fits what we've been describing as a controlled tension phase. The front hasn't gone quiet in terms of troop presence or political rhetoric. It's very much still active in that sense, but it also hasn't produced a new confirmed major clash within this particular window of time. The continued push for international intervention tells us that even without new fighting breaking out, the underlying pressure, grievances, and risk of escalation haven't eased at all. If anything, a quiet period combined with a loud diplomatic push suggests both sides are maneuvering politically while staying prepared militarily rather than actually de-escalating. On the Amhara side, involving Fano forces, the situation is currently running at what we'd describe as low to medium intensity. No single major, large-scale battle has been confirmed in mainstream reporting over the last 1 to 2 days. That said, reports continue to come in describing sporadic clashes and ambushes between various Fano units and the Ethiopian National Defense Force across different locations. So overall, this front remains just as tense and active as it has been recently, even though there hasn't been one large headline grabbing battle in this specific window. This is a useful distinction from what we've covered in recent videos. Larger, more concentrated events like the East Wolega convoy ambush or the battle around Debre Zeit represent a different scale of engagement entirely. What we're describing right now is a lower intensity but continuous pattern of smaller clashes. This kind of activity doesn't generate the same kind of headlines that a single large battle does, but it still reflects a genuinely active, unresolved front, arguably a more accurate day-to-day picture of this conflict than any single dramatic event would give you on its own. So here's where all of this leaves us. The drone incidents along the Sudan border carry real potential to raise tension, specifically between Ethiopia and Sudan, separate from Ethiopia's internal fronts, and that's worth watching as its own distinct thread. The Tigray front remains fragile, with high tension and unresolved grievances, but a full-scale return to war hasn't started there yet. Fighting continues on the Amhara front as well, but the intensity right now looks controlled and ongoing rather than sharply escalating. Across all of these fronts, military posture remains high on every side. That matters because it means the baseline risk hasn't dropped even a relatively small incident, whether that's a single clash, a drone strike, or a border dispute. Still carries real potential to spiral into something much larger, given how many forces are currently positioned and ready across these overlapping fronts. So that's our full detailed update for today, the Sudan drone instance, with yesterday's shoot down backed by an official Sudanese government statement and today's second climb still developing and not yet at that same level of confirmation, alongside a complete status check on both the Tigray and Amhara fronts, where tension remains high even without one single dramatic new battle in the last couple of days. We'll keep watching all of these fronts closely and bring you confirmed updates the moment anything changes. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss it.